Sometimes life goes easy, sometimes life goes do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Piggy, piggyback, won't you take me? Piggyback, won't you? Piggy, piggyback, won't you take me? Piggyback, won't you? Piggy, piggyback, won't you take me? Piggyback, won't you?
seen him this happy before.
It's because you've never seen him on Restock.
Amy, this is television legend Arthur Jeffries. His idolized that man. At the end of the day, he's just another Hollywood film.
It's fun. I feel like such a vixen wearing jewelry that doesn't have a list of medications I'm allergic to. I'd like to try that.
But they have pistachios. He's so into me.
On any level, she's hot.
You didn't get your part cut.
What you're trying to do is...
Can you sweatpants? From popcorn. Also carry fish. This is... Someone want to make this close instead of worse.
I won the Nobel Prize in Physiology. Then I used the money to buy Stewart's comic book store.
I think it could have ended with a karaoke.
Time's running out on this. You need to make a decision.
I submitted you a notarized list.
Hey, right there.
Although you already agreed to it, so don't take this. Furnish furnishing has to be approved by the furnishing committee, which only sits on...
Stand by and let him bring a table into your apartment? I mean, a table? Come on! Why, yes, I would like to take a survey. Move in with me.
Keep the table, we don't use that space. But if those days are gone, they're gone. Don't, Hawkeye.
Same way my boyfriend makes me feel terrible about my life choices.
You have a lot of questions.
My change the world.
Really? How does that feel?
Well, what do you do?
I have the courage to end the
I've got nothing to show for it. I feel like a fool.
Okay, I get it.
Those feelings became estimates. Most effective technique for moving on is to get rid of all reminders of the relationship. Meaning Cosmo? Yes. As in...
It's true, I'm sorry. I'll see you at home. Yes, yeah,
That's an easy guess. I'm clearly an annoying person. I have problems with the physicist. My spirit guides me to suck an egg.
Spirit? They make me wonder what it says about someone who's doing.
I wonder that too.
Where do you watch these things?
Can I tell you something?
That's nice.
For you. Come on, be serious.
I am.
Why? Because I'm a smart, interesting question.
Good night. Don't send me home. You can't be alone. What do you mean?
For you, good for your cold.
You know what? Forget it. I never.
Actually, I was wondering if I could mention this for a few nights. Show for it. You can stay and earn some money at the Sacred Nation and... No. I'm reaching...
So, a few things don't go your way.
Suppose it is. Except I have a credit card. And I refuse to carry my...
Fine. Whisper it.
Dr. Cooper, while you were away, we came up with a solution that would allow you to change your field of study.
Wow. So, pounding and running cannot be a lesson you want to reinforce with me. So, what is the solution? Click.
Hey,
The dark matter. Oh yeah, big thing. But if I did this, why would you do that?
What's wrong with you? Figuring out how many parts per million of urine will be floating around and you didn't even question it.
18 parts per million. And he's still doing it.
Don't worry.
It was like a grapefruit.
and I'm sure he knew that before you held a written note next to him.
Well, I'm not making it
32 episodes.
233 if we include the one something. As indicated by the waving of this racing flag. Of course, white flags can also represent surrender, the stewards of Gondor, and the Japanese Minamoto clan. But I'm sure you remember that from episode 62.
Wow, that flag is a lifesaver.
No.
Not a flag. Quack. Quack.
Fans, it's everything is awesome from the Lego movie.
Oh, pages and pages of value. Clearly spent. But what if this was a potential breakthrough for him? What if this is the...
Fix this together. Hopefully your dress is ugly.
완성했습니다. 짜잔. 보시면 여기 제가 좋아하는 키티, 그리고 키티. 이렇게 키티로 포인트를 주었고 퀼트용 조각천들 이런 것들을 모아서 이렇게 닦고용 매트를 완성했습니다. 뒷면은 동물들이 서커스하고 있는 장면인데요. 이쪽 면으로도 사용할 수 있고 이쪽 면으로도 사용할 수 있도록